Hello everyone and welcome to another Throne and Liberty video. My name's Brian if you happen to be new to the channel, but if you're part of this incredible subscriber base of common sense, focusing in on gaming and also getting out of debt, we're a weird bunch. Welcome in and welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about more of a discussion around all the information that we got yesterday. The questions have been coming in, and I thought this would be a good opportunity to sit down and talk about what my expectations are and how I think about this as a software developer myself, so that way we could start to kind of speculate as to when we might see the global release. Now, it also include EU, Japan, and so much more in that category. There's a lot of interesting developments that we got out of last night's developer update, and I summarized it for you guys, and hopefully you enjoyed that video, but there's still questions that remain, and the number one question is, why did we see a difference between a Korean version and a global version? And for those of you who haven't been following, note that they were originally planning on having a global launch of this game and eventually had to settle on that they were going to do a staggered release. And honestly, from my experience with MMOs, I get the frustration behind it, but I also see how kind of that first time through the gate, you end up getting beat up a lot in MMO space, and you let Korea go first, and they can end up kind of working out some of the bigger issues, getting those discovered when they all of a sudden have a wave of players who are excitedly checking out their game and being able to find and fix those, so that way on the global market, you don't have to do that same song and dance. That's the really only positive spin that I have for something like this, because no matter what, the gamer wants what the gamer wants. We want to play. We want to see how it feels. We're excited. We maybe have finished off multiple of our games already, and we're looking for that next hit of dopamine. So I totally understand it, but I do actually appreciate that we're going to have somebody who's gone in and run through the gambit, so that way your experience when you do finally step into the game is going to be much larger. But let's talk about release windows, because in my speculation, and again, to be clear about this is just my educated guesstimate as a software developer, I would assume that we are going to be talking sometime in first quarter 2024, with the potential to see it shift into the second quarter 2024, depending on how launch goes. And I think that's going to be something that's going to be watched. I think what the success or the struggles of the December 7 launch in Korea will greatly impact the main release, because if there's a broken problem, they're going to want to make sure that's resolved and taken care of before the wider, bigger market takes a hold of it. But when we talk about first, quarter, I would rule out January. If they come and release it in January, then that would be something incredible. That would be where they say, yep, all the ducks are in line. We've got everybody back from holiday break and kicking off the new year in style. I think February is where things start to get a little bit more possibility-wise. And with the shift of Destiny's latest expansion, not going to make February now and moving, I think, 5 months into the future, that's going to be a huge benefit to anybody who is planning on launching a game in February. March ends up seeming like the most practical option. That gets you 4 months out from the original release, which should help you kind of both identify the issues, fix the issues, and then prepare for both the console and the PC release. Now, no confirmed word whether they're going to launch with console support right out the gate, but I'll be sure to keep you guys up to date on any of that news as it breaks. Now, one of the things I will say as we kind of get a couple minutes into the video, if you guys are still here, what actually YouTube is letting me do is it's letting me take these kind of videos and push them out to members of the channel first, and have them then automatically shift into a public video, which is something we've long wanted here at the channel. So we're going to experiment with some of that. I look forward to your feedback, whether you're a member or not. Do you like this as a perk? Do you not? Now, breaking news and information like that, we're going to still cover. That's not going to have a members first barrier for entry, because that's going to be what's happening now, and I think those are important conversations to have in the moment. But for videos like this that are discussion oriented based off of my experience as a software engineer, well, these will fall into that category for at least a short time, and then we'll kind of evaluate to see how people feel about it. So let me know if you're watching this as a member. Sound off in the comments first in this case, so that way I can, and then feel free to weigh in if you feel like this is something that is acceptable. any opinion, all opinion. I really would love and appreciate your feedback. And if you're not a member, your feedback is just as important. So please, sound off. I don't want anybody to feel excluded. So that's the whole thing. Anyway, so we talked about that. Obviously, release, whether it goes right or wrong, second quarter is then the most practical. And then that's where things get interesting, because no matter what, you're going to be stepping in the hype lane of Final Fantasy XIV. And if you don't think that Dawntrail is going to be a hype and excitement moment, then I don't think you understand how hype truly works. Even the most burned out Final Fantasy XIV player, who's, whether they're making vids about the downfall of the game and yada yada yada, there's going to be that temptation to come back in, because when you start seeing advertisements and things like that, that's going to be stepping up. Now, that is slated for summer 2024 for the launch of that. We don't know that date yet, but when you start shifting into that second quarter, April, May, June, you could start stepping into that same kind of lane. And I think you want to avoid that, because no matter what, that sunk cost that people have, that investment they've had in their character, even though they've stepped away, we've seen that been able to pull people back. So I would essentially say, if you're going to make second quarter, your best bet is to hit May, and not any later than May. April would be even better than May, but that's going to give players enough time to jump into the content, feel like they've got their value, and then decide whether they want to keep investing their time into this game or dip out. It's better to do that, because then if they ever do decide to return, I've already done everything I wanted to do. I've already got that high level character. I'm already having a really good time. And I remember the fun stuff. And they've added all these new updates, because they've also communicated that they're going to shoot for a 3 to 4 month update cycle. So you could roughly expect 3 big updates a year. And if they launch in the springtime for the global release, that means you're going to have a summer update and you're going to have a fall update, and they're not going to necessarily be a huge winter update, but then it kind of repeats over again. And so you start to kind of see what that cadence is going to look like. But when it comes down to their battle passes and everything like that, those are looking like those going to be running off like a 28 or at least a 1 month time frame. And thus, because of that, that aspect, I think there's going to be at least kind of a monthly ability to check in with the game, which seems like what a lot of these games as services are doing. Now, outside of the release date kind of speculation window discussion, I see a lot of people talking about combat. Has it been fixed and things like that? Well, I think that's, honestly, I'd push back and at least ask the follow-up question, like, what do you mean by fixed? We do know they've removed the auto combat. They do allow you to move and have it attack your character's attack, but there are some abilities that still will root you in place. And this isn't a full action game. If you're looking for an action MMO, I would highly recommend New World. And I know I used to get a lot of flack for that, but as people continue to go and say and see what they've all done, there's a lot of positive things that AGS has been doing in that space. So I wouldn't write it off, but I'm going to leave that up to you. If you've already purchased New World and you're looking for an action MMORPG, it's a good time to kind of jump back into that and play, because you still have a little bit of a waiting room for Throne of Liberty. And for the longest time, New World was categorized as a Throne of Liberty waiting room, but because combat in Throne of Liberty is going to be more in that tab targeted action hybrid kind of approach, I don't know if that's going to necessarily meet the needs for everybody. People don't mind that. Some people do. That's why we have multiple types of games, because there's multiple types of us who enjoy different things. And that's life. Nothing more to really add to that conversation. But outside of that, guys, obviously the release date's the most interesting. There's other things that are going on. If you guys haven't been paying attention, Blue Protocol beta signups, those invites are going out. I have not been included in that, which isn't surprising to me, because I know who I am. And but we're going to be talking about those games. Be sure to check out the links in the description if you guys want to help me out with my Instagram challenge. Just crossed over 200 followers on Instagram, so thank you so much. Upward and onward is the goal that we're going to keep going with that. And guys, if you enjoy these kind of videos, like, subscribe, and share. I appreciate it. And thank you so much if you do. Otherwise, wish you guys all the best. Have a wonderful day, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. But until then, take care.